my god, if you guys could understand everything that I have gone through today to get this video to record. Ugh. This is some blow. I'm sitting here in my own sweat. Texan problems. Okay, I'm gonna just get into the video because if I ramble and my battery dies, then I might just throw my camera out the damn window. So today's video is actually a suggestion that was given to me by one of my subscribers, and I want to thank you, Sebastian, because when I read your comment, I was literally blown away. Hold on to your seat, folks. Buckle yourself in because your mind hole is about to be blown. I really don't know why everything that comes out of my mouth sounds like a dirty joke. So what we are going to talk about today is the bodies that are left up on Mount Everest. I honestly can't believe, for as many people that have passed away on Mount Everest, that this isn't a more well-known thing. Today we are going to be going over Mount Everest in general and the history behind it and the reasoning behind these bodies that have been left up on Mount Everest. So for those of you that do not know, Mount Everest is the tallest mountain in the world, and it is located in Nepal. It stands at over 29,000 feet, and just for reference, planes I believe fly at I think it's somewhere around 39,000 feet. These people that wanted to climb Mount Everest were of all sorts of different backgrounds and experiences. Some of them were completely new to mountain climbing, and some of them were extremely experienced in mountain climbing. And everyone had different motives as for wanting to climb this mountain. As I was looking into this topic, I actually found that the body count is still uncertain to this day, but from what they can guesstimate is left up there is anywhere from 250 to 300 bodies. That doesn't sound like a lot, but that is insane that this many people have been left up there. Their corpses are rotting away up there. I mean, it's just so crazy to think that this mountain is technically a grave site. Alright, so let's talk about what it entails to climb this mountain, because if you think that it's as easy as showing up and paying a permit to climb the mountain and then just getting up there, you're way off. I was even surprised to have found the details in all that it takes to climb this mountain, and I'm sure you can imagine why. The dangers and the risks that are involved in climbing this mountain, a lot of people don't realize, and that's something that has changed over time, because when this mountain first became a hiking spot for mountaineers, a lot of the things that are required today weren't required back then. So if you didn't have experience climbing a mountain and maybe you did a few small ones in your life and you showed up here, you could climb the mountain if you wanted to, and the risk wasn't as blatantly obvious as it is today. So there are several things that need to be taken into account before anyone even tries to attempt to climb this thing, and some of those things include the cost of climbing this mountain. Yes, it costs a lot of money to climb this mountain, and the conditioning your body has to go through, what level of fitness you have to be at to climb this mountain, and survivalist skills. Like, there's just so much that goes into it. For starters, the cost to climb this thing starts at anywhere from $45,000 to $100,000. And this price varies depending on what type of guide you get for your climb. $45,000 is obviously going to get you the average mountaineer that's done a few climbs in their life. They are experienced and they do know what they're doing, but they're not at the expertise level yet. So I'm sure you can guess with this bit of information, it's not just your average Joe that's climbing this mountain. Some of these people that have climbed this mountain include doctors and lawyers. So once you've paid this fee, of course I think you have to get a permit. Once all that is said and done, you and your crew set out to climb Mount Everest. And the first step in climbing this mountain is actually conditioning your body. The start of the climb requires you to reach base camp, which is at about 17,000 feet on this mountain, which in itself is a mountain. I mean, I've climbed a mountain before that was around 11,000 feet, and I could already feel the change in atmosphere. Your skin burns easier in that altitude, and the air is thinner up there. It's just, that was at 11,000 feet. So the base camp on Mount Everest is at 17,000 feet. And what you do at the base camp is you condition your body to get used to the altitude change that your body is going to be experiencing. So these people are up at base camp conditioning their body for around 2 weeks. And once they've conditioned their body enough to sustain a change, they move forward and head on to a different camp that's further up on the mountain. If you are unaware of what altitude sickness is, I believe there's 3 really severe types of altitude sickness that can kill you, but in general, altitude sickness can absolutely change your world, and not for the better. If you are unfamiliar with all that altitude sickness can do to a person, these are some of the things that the people that did end up passing away on Mount Everest experienced. So it can affect anything from your speech to memory loss. You can go blind from it. You can get hypothermia to shortness of breath. It just overall affects the function of the body and the brain. Some of these people were climbing for hours and hours on end. I think one of the expeditions that ultimately made it to the top and lost majority of their crew on the way down had been climbing for 27 hours. I could not imagine trying to climb in the midst of these freezing temperatures at this height. Let me just put it this way. On average, it took around 2 months to climb this mountain. 2 months. If that doesn't say anything, I don't know what will. So as I said before, there are several different camps located on the mountain at different heights. I believe there was a total of 4 camps, and each of them were higher than the last. And obviously the last one was at the tip top of the mountain. But there was such a thing on this mountain called the dead zone. The name says it all. The dead zone is a zone on the mountain which is around 26,000 feet. The conditions in this area are known to be extreme, and if you get caught in this dead zone, it's more than likely that you're not gonna make it out. I'm not even really sure I have to say it, but this is where most of the climbers that try to reach the peak die. As sad as that sounds, imagine all that they're putting their bodies through and all that they've been through up until this point. The fact that they have a part of the mountain titled the dead zone is just insane to me, but that's not even the worst part of it. There's also something up on this mountain that's known as Rainbow Valley. That term, now to me, knowing what it means, is just such a sick and twisted term, because when you think of rainbows, you think of happy things, right? Well, this term actually means a valley of dead bodies. So all the bodies that have been left up there, obviously these people pass away in whatever gear that they're wearing, whether that be their coats or blankets, just whatever they passed away wearing. All of the bodies that have been left up there eventually get pushed down by weather and pushed down into this valley, and it created like a pit of colorful coats. So as I was looking into this, one of the biggest questions I had for myself was why? Why are there so many dead bodies up there, and why is no one doing anything to bring them down? If you have a loved one up there, why wouldn't you want to bring them down and give them a proper burial? But basically the reasoning behind this is just simply because it is too dangerous. A lot of these people did want to save their friends and did attempt to try and save their friends, but the dangers that were involved left them pretty much with no choice. The choices they had were attempt to save their friend and die with them, or save their own lives. There have been so many different cases up there. It's extremely hard to cover all of them, but there are several that stick out to me. There is actually a body up there, believe it or not, that lies as a marker for other climbers that climb this mountain. So there's a dead body that's literally a trail marker, and he's known as Green Boots. So there's been a lot of debate on figuring out who this man is. A lot of people have a good idea, but it's not for certain. I cannot pronounce his name, so I'm just gonna put it up on the screen. But this man was known to be a part of the expedition that would try to reach the summit, and on the way down would face a terrible, unfortunate blizzard. The blizzard of 1996. This was a very unfortunate expedition that would leave many of the men that set out on it to die. And a lot of their decisions is what caused their death. A lot of them were blinded with the fact that the finish line was in sight, and they ignored the weather conditions that were headed their way, despite the leader of their crew telling them otherwise, telling them not to push forward and not to make these risks. It's crazy to think how much ambition these men had, but ultimately their ambition would kill them. These men would set an example for future climbers. There is one more story that I want to talk about, and this story is widely known as a stamp on Mount Everest, and that is the story of David Sharp. I believe it was known that he was in a safer zone on the mountain where it would have been okay to at least attempt to try and save this man, or at least aid him in some kind of way. And the reason why his story leaves such a mark on Mount Everest is because at least 40 different people passed him as he is dying and did nothing about it. So this man did not immediately die. I mean, at this point he was already suffering from exhaustion. He was probably going through hypothermia. His body was getting ready to shut down. So he sat down against a rock on the mountain and put his knees to his chest and just hugged himself. Here this man is moaning and groaning and letting out the literal last bit of life he had in him. And around 40 people saw this and just passed him without even a single reach for help. No one, not one person, cared to stop their journey and help this man. And a lot of it was out of selfishness, because the people that passed him had their own goals in mind and their self in mind, not him. They were in a mindset where they were so close to reaching the top that they didn't want to risk not reaching the top by saving someone else's life. So his story created outrage for years. Aside from David Sharp, there are hundreds of more stories that unfortunately have the same end. I know there's a few details that I probably missed in this video, but hopefully I covered a good majority of them. Well, that's all I have for you guys today, and I guess I'll see you next time. And she was only 22. Try one more time. From what I, on the mountain, if I could just have loud cars not pass by while I record, that'd be great. It's a hard enough life for us. It's a hard enough life for us. You know, I have two perfectly good chairs in the back over there, and I still choose to sit on the floor like a little kid, so. Pro-life tip, you guys. When in doubt, pinky out. Alright, well, I think that's it.